It was an ordinary evening when Jason stood at the foot of his mother's grave, the weight of the last month pressing down on him like an anchor. The sun was beginning to set, casting a soft golden glow over the cemetery, but Jason's eyes were fixed on the ground in front of him. His mother, Emily, had passed away suddenly, and despite the time that had passed, Jason couldn't accept it. He refused to believe that she was truly gone. It had been 4 weeks since the funeral, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His mind kept returning to the strange circumstances surrounding her death. How everything had seemed fine. How she had appeared so healthy and vibrant just days before. The doctors had said it was a heart attack, sudden and unexpected, but Jason couldn't accept that. It didn't make sense. "Mom," Jason whispered, kneeling beside the grave, "I can't believe you're really gone. I just don't understand." He had spent the last few weeks going through her belongings, looking for some sign, some clue that might explain why this had happened. But everything seemed to be in order. Nothing unusual, no answers. Yet in his heart, he couldn't let go of the nagging feeling that his mother hadn't truly passed away. He couldn't shake the idea that something was amiss, something that no one was telling him. His mother had been more than just a parent to him. She was his best friend. He knew her better than anyone. And somehow, deep down, he couldn't accept that she was truly gone. Jason stood up and brushed the dirt off his pants, feeling the weight of the empty cemetery around him. The evening had settled into quiet stillness, the only sound the faint rustling of leaves in the trees. But as he looked out over the rows of gravestones, something caught his eye. A faint movement in the distance. A figure walking slowly, but it wasn't anyone he recognized. He squinted, trying to make out who it was, but the figure was too far away. Then, as if sensing Jason's gaze, the figure turned and walked out of view. Jason felt an unsettling chill run down his spine, a feeling that settled into his bones. He glanced back at his mother's grave, wondering if the sense of unease had come from his grief, or if there was something more. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket, pulling him from his thoughts. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen. It was a text message from his older brother, Marcus. "I think I found something. Meet me at Mom's house tonight." Jason's heart skipped a beat. What could Marcus have found? They had gone through everything together. Every piece of paper, every document, every photo. What could be left? He stood there for a moment, debating what to do, but his curiosity was stronger than his doubt. With one last glance at his mother's grave, he turned and headed toward the parking lot. Whatever Marcus had found, it might just be the answer he had been searching for. Jason drove through the quiet streets, his mind racing with possibilities. The drive felt endless, even though the house wasn't far from the cemetery. It had been his mother's house, where he and Marcus had grown up, where the echoes of their childhood still lingered in the walls, in the rooms they had shared, in the kitchen where they had eaten countless family dinners. Now it felt hollow, empty. The house no longer felt like home without her. When he arrived, Marcus was waiting outside, pacing nervously on the front porch. He looked up as Jason approached, his face pale and drawn, the exhaustion visible in his eyes. "Hey," Jason called out as he stepped out of the car. "What did you find?" Marcus didn't answer right away. Instead, he motioned for Jason to follow him inside. The door creaked open, and the familiar scent of the house hit Jason like a wave. He felt his chest tighten, memories of his mother flooding his mind. She had always kept the house so warm and welcoming, but now it felt abandoned, like a shell of what it used to be. Marcus led him into the living room, where a stack of papers lay on the coffee table. Jason's heart skipped a beat. Had Marcus found something in the paperwork? He had gone through it all before. What could have been missed? "I found something in Mom's desk," Marcus said, his voice shaky. He sat down, picking up one of the papers and holding it out to Jason. "I didn't want to tell you over text, but I thought you should see it in person." Jason took the paper, his fingers brushing against Marcus's, feeling a strange tension between them. It wasn't just the grief. There was something in the air, something unsettled, unspoken. He unfolded the paper, his eyes scanning it quickly. It was a letter addressed to him. Jason felt his breath catch in his throat as he read the first few lines. His mother's handwriting, familiar and warm, jumped off the page. My dearest Jason, if you are reading this, then I am no longer with you in the way you know. I want to apologize for the mystery surrounding my death. There is much you don't know, much that I have kept hidden from you for your own good. But the time has come for the truth to be revealed, and I need you to understand the gravity of what I'm about to share. Jason's hands started to shake. He looked up at Marcus, his brother's expression unreadable. What is this? He whispered, his voice hoarse with confusion. Marcus leaned back, running a hand through his hair. I don't know, but it doesn't make sense. Mom, she was hiding something, and now it's like she knew something was coming. Jason's eyes moved back to the letter, his heart pounding in his chest. He continued reading, the words now making his head spin. There are things I can't explain. There are things I have kept from you because you were not ready to understand. But I must leave them for you now as a warning. There is something darker at play here, something that has been following our family for generations. I don't know if you will believe me, but I have to say it. You are the key. You always were, and you must be careful who you trust. Jason's breath hitched, the words of the letter feeling like a punch to his gut. This doesn't make any sense, he muttered, his mind racing. Marcus's voice trembled. Mom had been acting strange for months before she died. She started locking herself in her room at night, whispering to herself, talking about them, and how it was only a matter of time before they came for her. I thought it was grief, but now I don't know. Jason's gaze returned to the letter. His mother's words were becoming clearer. There is something in our past, something that I should have confronted, but I was too scared. Please, Jason, promise me you will find the truth. I am sorry for leaving you with this burden, but there is no one else. No one else will believe you, but you must. Jason stopped reading, his mind reeling. His mother's words were cryptic, full of urgency and fear. And now, just as he had suspected, he felt that something far bigger was at play than anyone had told him. The mystery of her death was not just a matter of health, as the doctors had claimed. There was something more to it, something tied to the very core of their family history. I knew it, Jason whispered, barely able to form the words. I knew there was something off. But this. He trailed off, the letter still gripped tightly in his hands. Marcus exhaled slowly, a bitter laugh escaping him. What now? What do we do with this? Jason looked at him, his mind racing. We find out what Mom was trying to tell us. We find out what she was so afraid of. The air in the room felt thicker now, more oppressive, as though the house itself was holding its breath. Jason could feel it, the presence, the weight of whatever had been left unsaid. It was coming for them, and he had no idea how to stop it. Jason stared at the letter, his mind struggling to make sense of everything it contained. The words his mother had written seemed to echo in his mind, looping in a way that didn't feel like they belonged to her. There is something darker at play here. You are the key. The sentence reverberated in his chest, filling him with unease. What could she have meant? His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden knock at the door, sharp and unexpected. Marcus jumped, looking toward the door with wide eyes. Who could that be at this hour? Jason's pulse quickened. He hadn't expected any visitors, especially not in the wake of his mother's passing. His eyes met Marcus's, and without a word, they both stood up, instinctively moving toward the door. The air felt dense, almost suffocating. Every moment felt weighted as if they were standing on the edge of something they couldn't control. Jason reached for the door handle, his fingers cold as he turned it. He pulled it open, his heart in his throat. But standing there wasn't anyone they knew. There was no friendly face, no neighbor or relative. Instead, a man in a long coat stood before them, his face shadowed by the dim light of the porch. He was tall, his presence imposing, his eyes dark, almost unnaturally so. Can I help you? Jason asked cautiously, his voice tight. The man didn't answer right away. Instead, he glanced over his shoulder, as if scanning the area behind him before his eyes settled back on Jason. I'm sorry for your loss, the man said, his voice smooth but chilling, like ice skimming over water. My name is Nathaniel. I was a close associate of your mother. We have unfinished business. Jason froze. Marcus stepped forward slightly, his brow furrowed. Unfinished business? Who are you? I don't remember Mom ever mentioning you. Nathaniel's lips curled into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. Your mother kept many secrets. I was hoping we could speak about them, privately. His voice carried a subtle, almost magnetic force that made Jason feel uneasy. Jason exchanged a quick glance with Marcus. Something in the man's demeanor made his skin crawl. He didn't trust him. Not at all. But the word secrets stood out, pulling at his curiosity. Was Nathaniel part of whatever mystery his mother had been hiding? Was he somehow involved in what had happened to her? Isn't it a little late for a visit? Jason asked, trying to keep his voice steady. We've just buried our mother. Nathaniel tilted his head, as if considering Jason's question. Late, yes, but time doesn't wait for those who seek answers. Your mother left a trail, Jason. A trail that leads to something much darker. Something she was trying to protect you from. Jason's heart beat faster. What do you mean, he asked, his voice steady, despite the rising panic inside him. Nathaniel stepped forward, his shadow falling across the doorway, a dark cloud that seemed to grow larger as he spoke. I know this must be difficult for you, but you must understand. Your mother was involved in something dangerous, and now because of her death, the truth is coming for you. Marcus stiffened, sensing Jason's growing tension. We don't need your help. We're not interested in whatever game you're trying to play. Nathaniel's smile faded slightly, but there was no anger in his expression, just a quiet, unnerving calmness. I'm not playing a game, Marcus. I'm trying to warn you. His voice dropped to a near whisper. Whatever your mother left behind, whatever she tried to keep hidden, it's not over. It will find you both. The words hung in the air like a weight. Jason's instincts screamed to slam the door shut, but the man's presence seemed to freeze him in place. A cold chill spread through the room, as if the very air had thickened, and the ground beneath them felt suddenly heavy. I don't know what you're talking about, Jason finally said, his voice shaking with a mix of confusion and fear. Who are you, really? What do you want from us? Nathaniel took a step back, his expression softening. I can help you, he said, his voice low and persuasive. But you have to trust me. Your mother was involved in something beyond her understanding. She couldn't protect you from what's coming next, but I can. He paused, his gaze piercing. All you have to do is listen. Jason hesitated. Every instinct in him screamed to turn Nathaniel away, to lock the door and forget this strange encounter. But something about the man's words, his insistence, felt too important to ignore. I don't want to talk to you, Jason said, his voice gaining strength. Leave. Nathaniel didn't flinch. He simply nodded, his face unreadable. Very well, but remember what I've said. He paused before turning to leave. You'll need me, whether you believe it or not. The door closed with a soft click, but Jason and Marcus stood frozen in place for several moments. The unsettling feeling lingered in the air, thick and suffocating, as though something was hanging just beyond their reach. Jason glanced at Marcus. Who was that? He asked, still in disbelief. I don't know, Marcus replied, his voice tight. But I don't like this. I don't trust him. Jason rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the disorienting feeling. Mom, what did you get yourself into? Jason couldn't shake the lingering feeling of unease. The brief encounter with Nathaniel had left him unsettled. But what troubled him more was what Nathaniel had said. Something your mother left behind. Something dangerous. Jason couldn't stop thinking about it. What had his mother been involved in? And why had she kept it a secret from him? He glanced over at Marcus, who was still standing by the door, his expression clouded with doubt. Should we just let it go? Jason asked, his voice quiet but filled with uncertainty. Marcus didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked toward the table and picked up the letter that Jason had left on the coffee table. He unfolded it slowly, reading the same words that had sent a chill through Jason's spine. What do you think she meant by this? Marcus asked, his voice barely a whisper. He sounded more troubled than Jason had ever heard him. Jason sat down, rubbing his face with both hands. I don't know, but Nathaniel, he knows something. He's not just some random guy. I can feel it. Marcus let out a sigh, setting the letter down on the table. I don't know if we can keep ignoring this, Jay. It feels like Mom was trying to tell us something important. Jason nodded slowly, his mind spinning. But what was it? If she had been involved in something dangerous, why didn't she tell me? Why didn't she say anything when she was alive? Marcus sat down beside him. Maybe she didn't want to scare you. Maybe she thought it was better to leave it all behind. Or maybe she was trying to protect us. Jason's gaze drifted back to the letter. His mother's words were haunting. You are the key. What had she meant by that? What was it that made her think Jason was so central to this mystery? It didn't make sense. I have to know, Jason said, his voice steady now with resolve. I can't just sit here and let this go. There's something here, Marcus. Something we've missed. Marcus looked at him, his face torn. What are we supposed to do, Jay? We don't even know where to start. Jason stood up abruptly, his mind made up. We start by finding out who Nathaniel really is. And we need to dig deeper into Mom's past. Maybe it's time we finally uncover what she was so afraid of. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. All right, but we're doing this together. Whatever we find, we face it as a team. Jason gave a small, grim smile. That's the only way. Let's get to work. They both stood up and walked toward the desk where Jason's mother had kept all her files, papers, and old letters. It had been a few weeks since they'd last gone through it, but Jason was determined now. He needed answers. The house, still quiet and eerily still, seemed to hold its breath as they began sorting through their mother's belongings. Old photographs, receipts, and personal notes. Everything seemed like it could be a clue, but there was one file that caught Jason's eye. It was a thick manila envelope tucked away behind some old books. His hand trembled slightly as he pulled it out, feeling the weight of it in his hands. This looks important, Jason murmured, looking at the faded writing on the front. For Jason? He opened the envelope carefully, unfolding the papers inside. As he spread them across the table, he noticed something strange. The papers weren't just personal notes or letters from his mother. They were documents, official-looking, filled with names, dates, and strange symbols. What the hell? Jason muttered under his breath, his eyes scanning the pages quickly. This doesn't make any sense. Marcus leaned over his shoulder, his brow furrowing as he looked at the documents. What are these? They don't look like anything Mom would have kept. Jason's eyes widened as he read further. The names on the papers were unfamiliar to him, but some of the symbols seemed like they were drawn in a way that made his skin crawl. He flipped through the papers, each one more puzzling than the last, until he reached a page that had one sentence underlined in red ink. You are the key, Jason. It is your bloodline that holds the secret. Protect it. Jason's breath caught in his throat. He turned the page over, hoping for more. But there was nothing more than a series of cryptic symbols and codes that meant nothing to him. I don't understand, Jason whispered, his mind racing with questions. What secret is she talking about? What was so important? Suddenly, there was a knock at the door again, soft but distinct. Jason and Marcus both froze. This time, neither of them had to say a word. They both knew who it was, Nathaniel. The air in the room seemed to grow heavier, and Jason's hand instinctively gripped the letter tighter. His heart pounded in his chest as the door creaked open. The door creaked open, and Jason's heart skipped a beat. Standing in the doorway was Nathaniel, just as they had feared. His tall, imposing figure seemed to fill the doorway, the dim light from the hallway casting long shadows across his face. His dark eyes glinted with an unsettling calm, as though he had been waiting for this moment for much longer than either of them realized. Jason and Marcus exchanged a quick glance. Marcus stepped in front of Jason, his body tense, as if bracing himself for something dangerous. Jason stood frozen, his thoughts racing. This wasn't just a visit. This was the next step in unraveling whatever dark secret had been buried with their mother. You shouldn't have come, Jason said, his voice low but firm, the letter still gripped tightly in his hand. Nathaniel didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped further into the room, closing the door behind him with a soft click. I had a feeling you would find it, he said quietly, his voice smooth as silk. The letter, the truth. She left it for you, didn't she? Jason's pulse quickened. What do you want from us? Nathaniel's lips curled into a slight smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. I'm here to help you, Jason, to help you understand what your mother could never fully explain. Jason's mind raced. What are you talking about? Who are you? Nathaniel sighed, taking a step closer, his gaze unwavering. You wouldn't understand yet, but you will. You're the key, Jason. Your mother knew this. She knew what she was protecting you from, what she had to keep buried, and now it's time for you to unlock it. Jason felt a sudden chill sweep through the room, as though the temperature had dropped by several degrees. A strange pressure pressed in on him, the walls seeming to close in around them. What is it? He demanded, his voice shaking with a mix of fear and determination. What are we talking about? What's this secret? Nathaniel's smile faded, and his expression became serious. Your family's bloodline carries something very old, something very powerful. The world that you know, the life you've lived, has kept you blind to it. But your mother's death, your mother's sacrifice, wasn't just about her, it was about you and the role you must play in the coming events. Marcus stepped forward now, his voice trembling with anger and confusion. What the hell are you saying? Our mother didn't die for some sacrifice. She was just a normal person. We've been through hell, and now you're telling us this insane story. Nathaniel's gaze flickered briefly to Marcus, then back to Jason. It's true. Your mother did everything she could to protect you from the truth, but it's time to face it. The darkness she fought has been awakened, and it's coming for you, Jason. Jason's mind reeled. Coming for me? What do you mean? Nathaniel took a deep breath, his gaze now more intense, as if the weight of his words carried more gravity than he could express. Your mother tried to protect you by hiding it, hiding the truth about who you are. Your bloodline, Jason, it's the key to everything. The secrets, the forces that have been at work long before you were born, they all lead to you. Jason stepped back, his head spinning. His mother, the woman he had trusted most in the world, had kept this secret from him, had kept him in the dark about something that could change everything. You have to stop running from the truth, Jason, Nathaniel continued, his voice dark with urgency. Your mother was protecting you, but the world she was trying to shield you from is coming for you now, and there's no escaping it. You are the key. You always have been. Jason's breath caught in his throat. The key to what? Nathaniel's eyes gleamed. To ending it, to stopping the darkness your mother fought so hard to keep hidden. But in order to do that, you have to embrace who you truly are. The blood that runs through your veins is tied to an ancient power, and that power is what will either save or destroy you. The room felt as though it were closing in on Jason. His thoughts scrambled, trying to piece together what Nathaniel was saying. His mother had been hiding something all this time, something so powerful, so dangerous, that she had sacrificed herself to protect him from it. Marcus's voice broke through his thoughts. What happens if he doesn't accept it? If he doesn't embrace this power? Nathaniel's smile returned, but it was colder now. Then the darkness will take him, and with him, everything he loves. Jason's eyes widened. He had to make a choice. He didn't know what Nathaniel was talking about, didn't understand how any of this connected to his mother's death. But the weight of his words was suffocating. The burden of this secret had been passed to him. The letter, his mother's cryptic warning, it all made sense now. You are the key, Jason whispered to himself. Nathaniel nodded slowly. And if you fail to unlock it, the darkness will consume you. It's already too late for your mother, but for you, it's still a choice. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your chance. Jason stood in stunned silence, the weight of what Nathaniel had said hanging over him like a storm cloud. He didn't know what to believe, didn't know who he could trust. But one thing was clear. The secret his mother had kept hidden from him had been passed on. And now it was his responsibility to face it, to fight it, and to make a choice that would determine the fate of everything.
Subscribe and press the bell icon so that you never miss the amazing video.